May 4th, 2023, Thursday meeting to order. The notice was properly posted. Roll call, Mr. Brett Town.
Present.
Miss Eleanor Thompson.
Present.
And I'm Patrick Crawley. So we got a full board today. First item is approval of minutes of discussion and possible action regarding approval of the minutes of April 19th, 2023 and April 20th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve those minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have two properties before the board today. The first one is BOE number 80. Looks like the owner is Nick Frisinella.
You got it. That's good. Most people butcher it, so you got it.
Yeah. Property is at 13224 Cedar Springs Road in Oklahoma City. Looks like the assessor has assessed this property at $594,000, and the taxpayer is asking for $509,153.58. Pretty exact. All right.
Well, I'll tell you how I got there. Well,
All right. Well, that's what I'm going to say next. Let's go ahead and tell us, what do you want us to know about this property?
okay. So I am a tax lawyer for Chesapeake, and I only tell you that because when I saw their analysis, I was confused. I work on property tax as part of my role, and I couldn't get to where they got. So, when I spoke with them, the only analysis they would give me, because they don't give you, they have that big analysis sheet, this here nice packet. They don't give it to you when they're doing the informal hearing. You don't see it, and the only discussion they give you is, this is our comparable sales. That's the only thing they would give me in the informal hearing.
They didn't give you the...
No, you don't see this before the informal hearing.
No, not talk about before, but at the informal.
Oh, well, yeah, I have it now.
Okay.
No, during.
No,
Okay.
Oh, you did not get that during the informal?
well, the informal's a by phone.
Oh, okay, all right. All right, that's kind of hard to hand you something over the phone.
Right, but it would be helpful if you knew how they got to the number. So,
Okay, well, the assessor's gonna tell us all about that here in a minute.
okay. So, when we had the informal, I first discussed the price that I paid for it because initially, I purchased my house in a sort of hot market in June. Since the Fed has increased rates significantly, and the prices of homes have come down. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And they're using comparable properties that reflect prices coming down and then increasing them, which, it doesn't make any sense. So let's talk about the arm's length. I purchased my house at an arm's length price. And then
Let me make sure I got it right. You purchased that in June
in June, yes, sir.
for $562,500?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
So at $170 a foot.
all right.
So I purchased it, Quail Creek North, very desirable neighborhood. Houses are selling, at the time, they were selling within a day, couple of days. We purchased our house on the first day it was on the market. So clearly an arm's length sale. But since then, the Fed's raised 7 times before the valuation date on 1/1/23. So that's a total of 2.25%. They've raised interest rates. That has brought the price of homes down because it's purchasing power, right? So that's irrelevant. Purchasing power is irrelevant for what the valuation is, because people are worried about how much their payment is, but for this purpose, we're worried about what the value of the house is. So
Well, I'll tell you at the get-go, we don't consider any evidence beyond the end of 2020 22.
Agreed.
It's what the value of your house was the morning of January 1st. So
No,
anything that happens after that, or even that day.
agreed. Okay, so let's call it 12/31/2022. We can call it that.
Okay.
But they raised 7 times and 2.25%. So the purchase power has come down. So people are paying less for houses because they're worried about the payment, right?
Which is exactly what the Fed was trying to do, is
Agreed,
cool the market off.
100%.
Right.
But people are worried about payments, so they have less purchasing power, so they're paying less for houses. But for this purpose, we're worried about the value. So values are coming down clearly. So I paid that much for my house. Values are coming down, yet the assessor's saying it's worth more when the market is clearly cooling down. And you can see this by their comparables. Let's see. So if you look at their comparables, let's first talk about comparable number 5. All their other comparables back up to busy streets. My house, as you can see, backs up to May. There, I already got all those numbers here now. Backs up to May, and it backs up on the corner. It's at the very front of the neighborhood. It backs up to May. I sent in the packet, there's a picture of, there's a bunch of trash. I sent a picture of it that lines the fence to my house. And my house, because it backs up to May, busy street around there, it's really loud. Frankly, I don't even know if I'd buy the house now because it's really loud. They just built a giant furniture store over there, so it's really loud. The house, comparable number 5, which I think should be eliminated from the comparables, it's one house, it's 2 houses down and across the street. It backs up to a lake, significantly tree lined. It really is a different style of property because when you go in the backyard, you can't hear anything. Someone paid a significant premium for that house because of that. Completely uncomparable house. So let's take that one out of the equation.
We're talking one on Thorn Ridge Road?
No, it's the one on, it's on Cedar Springs. But again, it's across the street. It backs up to a lake.
Oh, okay, I have that as comp number 6.
Is that 6? I think that's 6.
13,225.
Oh, yes, sorry, comparable number 6.
That's number 6, yeah.
So-
Okay,
I had that one, yes, sorry.
okay, that's fine.
Take that one out of the equation.
Well, all right, I think I understand your argument, but go ahead.
I mean, all the other houses back up to streets. This one doesn't. I can describe to you why it isn't a comparable. So it doesn't make sense to me that it's a comparable.
Okay,
So mine was purchased in June, $171 a foot roughly. Comparables 2 and 3 sold around the same time, 171 and 171 a foot roughly. 171.59 and 170.90, so roughly 171 a foot. And then comparables 4 and 5 sold in October. 2 Fed rate hikes in there, 1%, and then so those prices are showing the downward trend in the neighborhood. 154 and 146. This is one of those is where we got to the price I told you, but we'll talk about that in a sec. There's another comparable that's not used by the county. It's 3108 Castle Rock Road. It's sold in October for $150 a foot. So it's not in there. I'm just throwing that out there as another. It's showing the price decrease per foot in Quail Creek, right? The market
Is that house like yours though?
Yes.
Size wise?
Size wise, all of these houses have been renovated, and we'll get to that in a second.
was
So,
all that presented at the informal?
no, they weren't presented. They're informal because, again, you don't see their evidence. You don't see
I
anything.
understand that, but you come up with a house that we don't have here, or it is?
No, it's not on there. I mean, we can exclude it. It just shows the exact same. It's showing the exact same thing. It's same price per foot, same time sale. I mean,
Okay.
it's off their website that I got it. So
I understand that, but you understand this is an appeal from your informal hearing, so we don't consider any evidence that was not presented at the informal.
In my mind, this is rebuttal evidence, right? If you don't see this, how am I to know how they got to their number, right? At the informal hearing, what I said was, give me the number I paid for it because the market's cool, right? And then I see their evidence, and we'll get to how they got where they got and why their number's ridiculous. and then I say, well, look, the numbers you're using as comparables are clearly showing that the price per foot's coming way down. So how are you getting there?
Do you understand the way the assessor makes adjustments? Like if a house is, well, Michael say that they'll make an assessment for age of the house. Now I know the difference between North and South Quail Creek. So all of the houses were not built at once. Short span of time they got developed. So you know they make adjustments.
Oh, we'll talk. We have that in the discussion here. So
Okay.
yes, I do, and they can explain how they got there. But we definitely looked at that.
Okay.
So the major adjustment, they made a number of adjustments, like you mentioned, but the biggest adjustment they made was for effective age.
Okay.
And so the effective age.
Here's the Marshall and Swift
Yeah,
definition right
let's
there.
talk about the definition of effective age. Where did I write that down? I just kind of did it as. I wrote it down. Anyway, we'll get to that. So they said the effective age of my house, they said the effective age of my house was 17 years old.
Okay.
They said the effective age of the comparables was between 30 and 43 years old. And they adjusted the properties between 9 and 21%. Okay. So, using the comparable data, I attached pictures of the houses showing they'd all been remodeled. And the houses were all built between roughly around the same age, 1966 through 81.
Okay.
But based on assessor data, they were all remodeled between 2013 and 2022. So how are we getting to an effective age that's that much different? I mean, they said effective age of a house that was remodeled in 2022 was, let's see, that's comparable number 4. They're saying the effective age was
30.
30 years old. So there's my house was remodeled in 2017, and they're saying the effective age was 17 years old. And the house that was remodeled in 2022, they're saying the effective age was 30 years old. So that's a little bit confusing to me. Here's the definition of effective age. I found it. It's at the bottom. Effective age, there's a bigger definition, but I just pulled something from it. Effective age is an age which reflects the true remaining life for the property, taking into account typical life expectancy of buildings. Okay.
All right, we understand all that. What we want to know is for your particular property, you're kind of doing an argument with the assessor right now, and he hasn't even put on his evidence yet.
Okay.
You'll have an opportunity
Okay.
to respond to him. But what we want to know is, for your particular house, why is it worth almost, in your
509.
your judgment, almost $60,000 less than you paid for it?
Well, I took what they said was a comparable property, and multiplied it. The higher of the two comparable properties were sold in October, and multiplied it per the square foot price by the square foot of my house. I took the higher of the two. That's how I got to the number.
I understand that, but what is wrong with your house that it's $60,000 less than what you paid?
The market's come down.
The market is, what was the value of for an arm's length transaction? You've said $562,500. was an arm's length transaction.
The-
Too. And I will tell you now that one of the best pieces of evidence, as far as I'm concerned, is how much did you pay for it and how long ago was it? If it's been a long time ago, then things could be different. This was like in June.
That was before the historic 7-time raising of interest rates of 2.25% that completely changed the borrowing power.
I understand that, but how is that fact? And that's what, you're right. At least I don't know. I know that the Fed was trying to cool everything down, but how did that affect your property?
Because if
Not what everybody else is doing. How did that affect your personal property? And I can tell you right now, the answer is it didn't. Except, as far as a argument that, okay, everything's come down. You get a chance to respond to the assessor, because he's gonna tell us how he come up with $594,000.
Sir, if I sold my house today and someone's coming into it and factoring in paying a mortgage on that property, they are going to pay less for it because their payment is going to be higher than what I have to pay now at the interest rate that I have to pay when I put a mortgage on that property in June, because the interest rate is 2.25% higher. There is no question about that.
Okay.
Do you think you overpaid originally?
I didn't overpay at the time.
Okay, because we've had taxpayers who came in and said, yes, I realize I've overpaid and now I'd like to adjust it down to current market. So you think you paid market price, fair market value at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
But the comparables show the market's changed, because if people are
let me
paying.
ask you this. There is a difference between your ability to sell at a price versus shrinking your pool of prospective buyers. Interest rates will shrink the pool of prospective buyers, may not shrink the price.
Well, then why are people selling houses at $174 a foot right now? Why are the two what they say are comparable properties, why are they selling them at $174 a foot?
Well, it depends on the circumstance of who needs to load, unload. But do you see the difference? Do you see the difference between shrinking a pool of buyers versus shrinking the price? There's a difference.
But agreed.
Okay.
Agreed. But the pool of buyers at $560,000 are not cash buyers. So if the pool of buyers are buyers that are mortgaging their house, that sets the fair market value of the price. If the pool of buyers was cash buyers, then I would agree with your statement. But since the pool of buyers at $560,000 to $600,000 are mortgage buyers, and it does shrink the pool of buyers, then that sets the price. And it did set the price at $174 a foot. To what less? The one is, what did I say? It sets the price at 154 and sorry, I was misspoken. 154 and 146.
Okay.
And then this one at 150. So it's setting the price because people can't afford to buy a house with cash in that price range. They just can't. Just like I couldn't. I don't have 560 grand laying around where I could just pay for it.
Well, why not?
Be nice with it.
My trust fund has dried up that I never had. So unfortunately, it's not fair.
I think we understand your argument. Is there any questions from the board for this taxpayer?
Not this time.
Okay. Anything else other than what you said? Your argument is that the market has changed, and you're right. And interest rates go up. People selling the house because the interest rate's higher may have to lower the price. Completely understand that. That's your argument. But is there anything else, about the particular piece of property you have there?
Well, other than in comparison to these, what they're running comparables, I back up to the busiest part of the street. Like, those other ones back up to other streets, the whole side of my house backs up to the busiest, the front of the neighborhood that is May, and so mine is probably louder than any of them.
Yeah, I understand that, but
Right.
I've always wondered, if people moving into houses like that, did they not understand there's a highway or a busy street?
Well, sir, my wife was the driver, I'm being honest here.
Sure. Well, I
You know your
understand that.
function, just write that check.
I did.
All right,
I knew my place.
all right, anything different that you wanna?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, we'll hear from the assessor and then you'll have an opportunity to respond.
Okay, so there was like was mentioned, a $562,500 valid purchase in June of '22. Square footage of the house is 3,294 square feet. The price per square foot when purchased was $170.76. Based on the 2023 value of $594,000, we're at $180.32 a square foot. And now they're requesting for the board a $154.57 price per square foot.
100.
$154.57. That's the new request. I do want to mention that this house did have a significant remodel on it back in 2017, and our sales analyst will determine what they think a house needs percentage-wise for a remodel. Some are not as high as others. Well, this particular property had a full 75% max remodel based on all the work that was done. And I do have an MLS listing. The Zillow estimate had it at $592,500 or $200, excuse me. And I'll just
Zillow had it at what?
592.
$592,200.
One of the things that I've always had a little difficulty with is sometimes we say Zillow is right on something, and then turn around and say sometimes Zillow is not. So
Right. No, I understand.
it's just difficult to understand Zillow.
No, I understand
and
that.
to use it as evidence when
No, and I just
when we
wanted
do
to
it both ways.
Right. This was just put on the MLS listing. I just wanted to
Okay.
show that, and then just wanted
Can we
to.
look at Zillow for the other?
Just wiggle the assessor gets there.
And then here's some. Just gonna do a quick rundown of the interior.
It's a beautiful home.
That's pretty much it for the home. I do want to point out that last year's value going into 22 before the home was purchased was worth $592,000. And then in 21 it was worth $525,500, still more than what the new value request was, or is. All the comps that we use, not including the subject property, which is one of the comps provided, and we can still account for, we use that because we can account for market trend at the end of the year, and we support a value that's higher than what the purchase price was. We're using square footages that are not too terribly far off from the subject property.
Higher or lower?
Well, I got, so he's at 3294. Comparable 2 at 12924 is at 3,147 square feet. Comp 3 is 3,306. Comp 4 is 2,989. Comp 5 is 3,585. And Comp 6 is 3,519. And like I said, we're making adjustments for everything that we have on here to arrive at the value that we do. 4 of the 5 properties are situated along major thoroughfare, whether they're on May or 122nd. Yep. The only other comp that we have that is not associated with major highway is comp 6, which it does have. It sits along the lake, and we're making a negative adjustment for that. And the effective age, we all know, is that yes, you have the true year built of the house, but the effective age is based on what's going on with the property to make it much more new. And that's based on the significant remodel that was done in 17. So everything is a lot nicer, a lot newer than what it was originally. So that's why the effective age is much newer, based on everything that's up to date as opposed to the original.
All right, now, I understand, 122nd, runs right along the bottom, right?
Yes, sir.
And then we have May. Now, you're saying you took into account the fact that these properties are right off of
Yes,
major thoroughfare?
yes, we make an adjustment for
Because
that.
there's no room between that. Up there, at the top, at least they got a little bit of room. But that, on this particular property, what is that, May?
That's May.
I mean, it's right in his backyard.
Right.
What is that adjustment? As a percentage of the value of the house, or is that how you calculate it?
The adjustment that we're using is, let me find that. I had
It's
it
around 15 to 20% increase.
I don't have that portion right here mentioned, but I do have that. We still made an adjustment for the major thoroughfares.
Yes.
And, but everything, because obviously not every house is going to be exact like the subject properties. That's why we make the necessary adjustments. He did mention obviously in the BOE file response packet about 3108 Castle Rock Road. Now, that is a 3,726 square foot property, much bigger than any of the comps that we used. And the value of that one is at 603,500. Yes. And they had a significant remodel done in 2016 at 75%. So that was a significant remodel as well.
Mike, what's the market trend on this? What's the market trend adjustment? Is there one?
Oh, are you talking like what the value is? Okay, so for his particular property, so we're looking at $583,184, the adjusted value, based on what we think it would sell for at the end of the year, 22.
And what's the address of the house right next door?
13216 Cedar Springs Road.
Yeah. That's not in your comps, right?
Right.
We didn't sell, right?
It probably didn't sell, or might not be a recent sale. It could be currently lived in right now. That's what we use. We're using all 22 sales.
Okay. And on down any of them there, you didn't use any of those?
Probably not, because they're not recent sales. I mean, if they are, it could be like a 15 sale. It could be a home that's been lived in for years. We're using all 22 sales.
Okay.
Yep.
I understand, that's the only thing you can use.
Right.
All right.
So market trend would be like 1.85% difference in the sales date and then the year end, right?
I don't have that exact,
It's $11,000.
right, I don't have that exact number in front of me, but,
Okay.
you know.
So are you moving your figure to 83 from 94?
No, I was just letting you know what the,
I see. Okay.
the adjusted value would be based on what it would be at the end of the
Okay.
year. Now, I do want to point out that
Oh, okay.
I know sometimes in the past, the board doesn't like to use the subject property as a comp. So I just went ahead and used the exact same comps, but narrowed it down to
Yeah.
5 to see what the new median value would be based on adjusted sale price.
Okay.
And I get $596,859.
Okay.
And that's using the exact same comps, just taking the subject property out.
Repeat that again.
596,859.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And there, like, I just wanted to point out that the reason why we have such a significant remodel done on this, because it's newer plumbing, newer electrical, cabinets, windows, doors, appliances, countertop, like I said, countertops, everything is just basically brand new in that house. So,
That was all done before the purchase.
correct.
Okay. Anything else?
At this current moment, no.
Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry, can I say one more thing real quick?
Okay.
So that package you have that we sent you, the comps, that is the notice of decision that we did. We don't provide any of that before. That's basically what we're telling you what we did to currently support the value, and that's why you have that packet. That is why we call it the notice of decision.
Because they could change their mind after they talk to you.
They can change their mind here if they had a mind to, so can you.
I don't know that I see that happening. Okay.
All right.
Let's talk about this.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Is that assessor done?
Yes, I'm done for that, yes.
All right.
Let's talk about Castle Rock. They jacked the price of that way up. That sold at $150 a foot in October. So he said sale closer to, again, to my point on the interest rates, they're jacking the value of that price way up. It sold in October, again, Fed interest rates. I don't know how you support that. What are you doing Castle Rock at per foot?
I don't see Castle.
I don't have
That's
that.
the one he just mentioned.
Well, yeah, you mentioned it, but I just mentioned that because you had it in your response
Well,
packet.
no, but what are you valuing that per foot?
I don't have that exactly by
Well,
amount
just
right now.
what numbers do you got? We'll just divide it out.
Well, we're not gonna get into a debate with the assessor at this point. The only reason he apparently brought up that property is that it was 2%.
Well, but he discussed it, so,
My apologies.
and he jacked the value up above he's saying he's jacking the value up, and it sold at $150 a foot. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, secondly, can we bring up the Zillows since he did, can we bring up the Zillows of the two properties, the comparables 4 and 5, to show, we can talk about significant remodels. Those are remodeled to match mine. They look new, just like mine. So we can say comparable remodels, they were comparably remodeled to new. So whatever we want to call comparable remodels, if you're buying a house and they look new, as I showed in my packet, I included a picture, we can pull up Zillow and show the same thing. They look new. So however we want to define it, if the house looks new, let's just pull up the Chestnut property if we could on Zillow.
No, we're only talking about your property. I'm not gonna pull up any other.
Yeah,
We're
but
gonna-
I don't have Chestnut, there it is,
Number
not
4.
4.
We're going to show Zillow of my property, and we're not going to show comparable properties. It seems a little bit unfair. The Chestnut property is brand new inside. You can see it on Zillow.
But so they're
We'll
saying.
take
it's-
your word for
and
it.
Don't you see then that they're saying it's good for 30 years?
I'm sorry?
It's good for 30 more years. That's what the effective age means.
The-
Not that it's 30 years old, but that it's gonna be good for 30 years, right?
Yes.
And yours, they're saying, is gonna be good for 17 more years. Because yours was done earlier.
Then they're jacking the value. It's working inverse to that. They're increasing the value of mine because of that. It works inverse to that.
Okay, now we're talking value, we're talking age.
The effective age adjustment increases the value of my house. By saying the effective age of my property is 17 and that one is 30, that's increasing the value of my house relative to the. So there's by showing that the value of their property is older, or the effective age of their property is older, they're increasing the value of my house. It works inverse to, I think, what you're saying. It's a wonky deal. He had to explain it to me.
Yeah, here's the definition of Marshall and Swift of effective age here. I've been doing property tax for over 23 years, property tax professional, and this is an incomplete application of the effective age by the county assessor's office. I mean, there's a strong emphasis in function in changing the function, and all of the items that he described are just replacements. They don't extend the life of the property at all.
Could you
Brandon,
tell
why
us your
are you
name
guys-
for the record?
Yeah,
It's all
Rich
being
Sanchez.
recorded.
Yeah.
What is it?
Rich Sanchez. Yeah,
Okay.
paint, carpet, doors. Those are all maintenance.
I know what he
items.
said. He said plumbing, windows, electrical, and appliances.
Oh, he first said a lot of stuff about paint,
Okay, 'cause I was
doors.
gonna
And,
say-
Well, do we know that those properties didn't have plumbing and electrical?
You gotta pull. You can track that. You gotta pull.
But do we know, based on the data that you had, do we know they didn't have all those done?
That information was gathered by our sales analysts.
But do we know that?
I don't
We're
have the
making
exact
comparison and
information
you're
that was
using this
done
data
for
that.
each of those properties. I'm just pulling the general information from the comps that we pulled. I'm not gonna sit here and dissect every property.
All right,
So
we're
we're not
just supposed
going
to
to
trust you.
engage in
So-
a debate with the assessor. Assessor presented his evidence, your response to what he said, and I understand your argument really is pretty much the same thing that you started out with. And I understand that. I think we all understand it. Is everybody at the board got any questions about what he's saying?
No, but I would just like to point out that, the valuation on your house in 22 is $592,000. And the valuation for 23 is only a $2,000 difference. So there is some recognition about whether or not it's going up or coming back exponentially. You're asking for value less than, you gotta go all the way back to 20 on your value. It was 478,020, 525,521. So we gotta get below even 2 years ago for your value.
The market ran way up. The
market-
comparable sales data shows it. The market ran way up and it's coming way down.
It did. It increased on the average last year in Oklahoma County 16%. The year before it was 14. It's 30% in the last 2 years.
And this comparable house data that remodeled houses, I'm not sure how he came up with which is plumbing and which isn't. We can't prove that apparently. It shows. It's coming down. The 3 comparable properties are coming down from sales in October. And the Fed is doing nothing but raising the rates up.
But you've dropped more than 10% in 6 months.
Yeah, that's what these comparables are showing.
Okay.
That's why I didn't make the argument initially, but in my informal until I saw what they showed. The sales data is showing it. Houses in Quail Creek are sitting on the market, and so people are dropping the prices because they're not selling.
Have
All right,
you-
so but are you telling me that if I walked up to you right now and wrote you a check for $509,000, you'd take it?
I'm not willing to move, but other people are.
No, come on.
Why am I going to move? I'm gonna have to pay a realtor.
You're saying the fair values. I'm gonna give you $509,000. You gotta give me your house.
I'm saying these sellers and the Castle Rock seller
We're talking
said,
about you. And you're saying 509. It's okay, I'll give you 525. You take it.
I don't want to move.
Okay,
But these sellers in comparable houses did.
okay.
We can't argue with the arm's length sales of these. And let's be honest with each other. The price that I paid for my house,
Yes.
that's a ceiling. We cannot in no way support that the price that I paid for my house is not a ceiling. There's no way to support that. There's no way to support 590. That's impossible.
Okay, I understand.
Well, I've taken enough of your time.
Oh, I just, anything different, well, we wanted to hear you out. It's just-
You've heard me, I'm just repeating myself
Yeah,
now,
you're
so.
repeating yourself, and that's okay. All right, you're done then?
Yes, well, these people need to go.
Yeah. I'm gonna close the hearing on BOE number 80, and,
You blaming that woman?
No, I'm sure they're tired, they got other things to do other than hear
Okay,
me
you better
ramble.
not be blaming women.
I'm sorry. You're fine, we got a big audience here.
all right.
Thank you guys, I'm sorry if I rambled.
Thank you for your patience.
I get passionate.
Thank you for your
No,
understanding.
no,
Thank you very
okay.
much.
Okay, I'm gonna open up
Nice
the
to meet
hearing
you.
on.
Okay.
Here it All right, I'm gonna open up the hearing on BOE number 78, which is a property, I think it's on the northwest corner of 178th and Choctaw Road. Am I right?
Oh, you guys have been here before.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and really, you understand your argument is that it's agriculture, not residential, because you couldn't put a house there.
Do you remember when you came?
There was a
It was-
oil pump or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
In that one plot.
There's an abandoned oil field site. I'm not sure it was a well, but it's a pretty big pad for a well.
Yeah, it's a well, but I think they had storage or something there, but they just basically have that site there, and then most of the rest of it's in a floodplain.
What's the EPA say about that?
I didn't check with the EPA on that, but, you know, they're supposed to, they have removed the well, but the Corporation Commission still has the rights to it. So you don't, or not, I shouldn't say Corporation Commission, the well company has the rights to it, filed with the Corporation Commission.
Okay.
So it's not abandoned, it's not considered abandoned. There's no wellhead on it. All there is just, it looks like a gas cutoff on the north end of the.
Correct. And, but it's not been released.
Okay.
So, you know, we're in a bit of a situation there.
Remind me where it's that square
Yes.
right
So
there.
actually, this square, I mean, it's a pretty close layout. I mean, it might be slightly different here, but so this square here, this area right through here is mostly a floodplain. It shows it going across the pad, but the pad will not flood, even though it does. But it does come up like this. And so this is probably a 20% slope or 25% slope. I mean, it's like this where they cut it down. So this area's been shaved off, and then they push this dirt out. And you can see some of the, I mean, they've actually got a pretty new picture here. So you can see some of the improvements. So like all these blackberries that we pulled out. This was covered in cedar trees here. You know, we removed those because, you know, in farming you kind of remove stuff that, you know, you have wildfires and other things. And then even this year I had to go back out, and there's a whole bunch of them that were this tall. Had to go out and cut those off.
The cedars?
The cedars.
You know, red cedars.
Red cedars.
Okay.
And so there were a bunch of tall ones in here. Actually, these trees right through here have been killed. So they're going to come out, but they might come out, but they're going to die. This one here is in the high lines. You can't.
What killed the trees?
I cut a ring around them.
Okay.
So it's as simple as that.
All right, so you killed them, right?
I killed them by cutting a ring around them.
All right.
And so these right in through here are gone. These are still alive, but and these are alive. These are pecans, but this one right here is in the high lines. And this down, and so the wellhead, there's a pipeline that goes through this direction, comes out somewhere like this. And we actually have a presentation that we sent to the that we did in our informal. Can we pull that up?
Was that same email that you had sent the first time that was
Yes.
not presented at the first informal? Okay.
Yes.
I do believe that was at some point emailed to you, Mike, if you don't dispute that was at the second informal. But I can go ahead and forward that again if you'd like.
I have it if we need it.
Okay. Like on a flash drive? Okay, yeah. It would just be if you don't present that was that presented at the second informal?
Yeah.
You can check, but yes, it was.
Okay, perfect.
should be in the document.
Oh.
Is there anything else?
No, I don't see anything else.
Sure. Yeah, click on that.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, sorry.
So in this particular case, this is farm number 3363 with the USDA, which is the United States Department of Agriculture. And we farm, sizable properties around the state, mostly in western Oklahoma, southwest Oklahoma, where we have several irrigated quarters. And we sell seed. We do other things where we bring product from there to eastern Oklahoma, and we do different things with that. We have cattle. We have a number of things. So in this property, we bought it because I'm going back and forth. I'm bringing product, specifically barley and ryegrass seed and other things to farmers in this area.
Okay.
And we are working on that. We even planted some of this there on that farm, the ryegrass seed, just threw a little bit out, which is typically the way it's planted, especially over the top of Bermuda grass and such. This property in question was listed as agriculture as recently as 12/12 of 2022, and we have that evidence. And
12/12 of
You
22.
don't mean that.
I do mean that, and I'll show you the documentation here. So let's go to the next slide. So this area, just generally is not a residential property.
What's that red?
That is a FEMA floodplain.
That's
And
what I
so
thought. Okay.
this area is considered a FEMA floodplain. So, generally thinking, when this happens, is that, there's, to be residential, you need water, sewer, basic stuff. So the only water on the property is up here with the pond, for the cattle. But anyway, the FEMA floodplain's here, and then you actually have another lot through here. And so I would say it's slightly different in that, this pad here that, as you see it come out, will not flood. So this right through here probably would not flood, but, it's again tied up in the Corporation Commission. Tied up with the oil company. So water runs actually from this road and from this hillside just right through this area here. And then they've created this pad to where the water runs down this side of the property. And you can see the ditches even on the, you can see part of the little washout here, but water runs right down through this area. So it's just the way it's situated. So in a way, when you actually look at this, it's quite difficult to even consider it residential to begin with. And so, you have to have a farming mind or something else. And we had the idea at some point, that we would put a barn here if we could get it released and do some things and try to build up and do this so we could store some seed here and do some other things. So that was the idea of the property when we purchased it. Now we've just got some cattle there, and we cleaned it up and done things and get it ready. Let's go to the next slide. So we look at the properties in question. So I'm sure that the assessor is doing the same thing. So each of these properties right here, they're agriculture. So the
Where
big
are
point.
they from yours?
So all of these are agriculture.
His is number one.
So right through here, these are agriculture. Bang, 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 like that. It's agriculture.
How about across the street? Because those look like lots.
Those have been, I think, classified as, some of them are agriculture and some residential, I think, but I don't know that for sure.
What's the one right
This
next?
is agriculture, and I'm not sure here because some of these have houses. So, like ours does not have a house. It's quite difficult.
Is that house right next on the, what is that going to be, the east side?
Yes,
Okay,
It's a farmhouse.
That's the only house.
Farmhouse. It's
Okay.
farmhouse.
Those other structures appear to be barns.
They're barns and whatnot, granaries. I was hoping to put some granaries and grain, I wanted to do a little more than just do this, but the grain cleaner in town had agreed to clean some of the grain if I brought it over by the semi-load and could do this, but the agriculture stuff that we have here, and on some of the pictures, if you go back, you would see trailers or augers parked there or other things we were using. But anyway, let's go to the next slide. So here in this, you can see it's listed agriculture on this date.
What's the date?
So 12/12 of 2022. So the property, they said, send in your Schedule F. We sent in our Schedule F, and it was done. And the issue is, and probably partially my fault, we got the taxes on this, and I'm like, oh, that's high. That's really high. And I was like, I guess, no, we had to pay it. So I told my wife, right, go ahead. And that's fine. And I complained. I was like, that's just not right, because this is agriculture. This is an agriculture property. And, we registered with the FSA very shortly after doing it, because we have our other properties registered with the FSA in western Oklahoma. And so it just made sense. Now, they're not on the same farm number, because farm numbers in different counties and other things don't always appear on the same farm numbers. So we actually took this property, our Schedule F, and the assessor, one of the things they tell us is that this one's not listed on your Schedule F. I had 5 different properties listed on the Schedule F. I have about 550 acres not listed on the Schedule F. So there's multiple other farms not listed on the Schedule F that are clearly farms. And they know that. And so this really came about as an issue. It's like, it's wrong that we paid this and actually had to pay for something that's residential when there's literally, you don't have power, you don't have water, you don't have sewer, you don't have anything.
You need to stop with that, because people have well and septic and they have propane. So the fact that there are no public utilities there doesn't mean it is impossible for it to be residential, correct? Yes.
You could do that,
Okay.
but you do need
Electricity,
We don't,
none.
we don't
None.
have water, we don't have electricity.
One more time, tell me the date of your sale.
the date of the sale was in 2021,
how did they?
the end of
run?
2021, and we're not arguing about the date, the property value.
Okay,
This is not in question. We have agreed with that because it's an arm's length transaction. We get it.
This is a classification.
This is a classification issue only.
gotcha, we understand that.
And
But,
so
now I forgot what my question was.
But, okay, go
the,
ahead.
and Larry was kind enough to call me and explained,
Who's Larry?
Larry Stein, the assessor,
Okay,
was kind enough to call me in January, and I got the feeling that everything we talked about was value, and that he even claimed. I think he even texted me and said that based on 3 criteria, the sales. There are 3 criteria: sales of similar properties, income, or cost. Was how it was. Particular text message. Now I explained back in the text that it was farm number and such, and of course it was silence at that point.
when did you buy this?
In November of 2021,
Okay, and what did you pay for it?
104.
Okay,
So that part is not in question, and we even motioned on that last time. So this is a bigger issue in that, during the other call and other things, they're going to be reclassifying a lot of properties and changing them from residential, specifically around properties that are 20 acres or less, was what I was told. Now, whether that's, again, that's a conversation and not a documentation. So as we move down, the land actual use is farming. Go down one more slide. So the property in question, I mean, there's cattle on it. There's no house, tent, or dwelling of any kind. So to show that, okay, this is residential. We actually own cattle. We've spent several dollars, cleaning blackberry bushes, cutting trees, doing things apart from our own labor, trying to improve the grass on this property. And you can tell by the photos, actually, as I pointed out earlier, that it's been cleaned up. And I don't think that that's an argument by anybody. It is a FEMA, it's in a floodplain, and it's tied to an oil company easement, the property in question. Both of those have issues when it's actually physically possible to put a residence there. Let's go down. So as we did it, we're like, okay, what are the rights? What are the things? Because we must follow the law, and we get that. And so, this is from the property, the website of the assessor. So this is probably not in question by anybody. If you're too high or denied agriculture exemption, you may file a protest. You may appeal, given. Agriculture use, production of crops, including cover crops, livestock, or poultry. It can include leaving the land idle for a government program such as Conservation Reserve or for crop or livestock rotation. So, sometimes you rotate. Land used for raising certain animals to produce human food or other items of commercial value on agricultural land also qualifies. Using land for wildlife management is an agriculture use. And, again, contact more. Again, we've shown that with the Schedule F, we are farming. That is not in question, whether we are farmers or not, and whether we are actively farming. That is not in question. So let's go to the next one. So, go down, yeah. So in this particular deal, I'm like, we cannot have been the only ones that have ever faced this issue. That's impossible. So when you go about it, you're like, okay, how do we find out what the property is, or how do we figure that out? And so we go back to the Attorney General's opinion of when this has actually been ruled on before. And so land must be used based upon and must be classified according to its use and according to how it is used. And so there can't be an arbitrary number of acres that's set forth. So, the 20-acre thing that I was told or other things, that cannot be that. And that has been clearly spelled out in the Attorney General's opinion, of which you actually have, and we sent you the whole opinion so that there would not be a question on this. And so we actually request, and we have a USDA farm number, which obviously shows you're in farming, you're legitimate enough to actually do that. And we have classified this property since purchase on this. And we just actually request that it be returned to agriculture, and actually we think we should get our money back.
Oh. You don't want to support your government. You would do that.
Thank you.
I think you're serious.
So anyway, that is where we, and we realize we made a mistake probably in paying that quickly, but I think it's something we asked for. And I think it's a legitimate ask. And
I don't think that's within the power of this board to grant is, but that a rebate on taxes.
Okay.
Some other higher power.
Thank you.
Another DA opinion.
We'll get into that, and
Another.
but I understand what you're saying, and we've looked at the Attorney General's opinion, and we understand that it defines use as what's actually being done with the property, and then you're right. No arbitrary number of acres is necessary. It's just
Use.
what's the use of this property as it sits. And you're right, it's pretty compelling that they're never gonna be able to build houses on this. Yeah, Miss Thompson's right. You don't need water to it. Anywhere in Oklahoma, you dig down, you're gonna hit a well. Now, whether the water right underneath this former oil something is going to be drinkable, we don't know.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know how they've polluted the aquifer that
Yes.
we sit on, and I don't think they care. But anyway, I understand your argument, understand all the collateral business that has to go with this. We're going to only determine today whether it's agricultural or residential, because the $104,000 value is not
Not in question.
Okay, all right. Any questions from the board or this taxpayer at this point?
So you didn't appeal last year?
Just happened.
It just happened.
Or just happened? Okay.
Can I ask my question?
Yeah,
This is bothering, you had asked at the last meeting, when would it be considered residential? And somebody answered, slats?
Plats.
Plats were built on it. But then the following day, we asked one of the assessors, and he said that wasn't true.
Flats.
So,
We can ask the assessor that here in
Okay.
just a second. Or you
So
can-
that's
You
still,
said PLAT?
I'm sorry,
Plats,
plats.
yes.
Yes, plats.
so the
But then
question last
following
time was,
Day after Mr. Town asked that,
when does the land typically move from agriculture to residential?
That's gonna be my question for
Yes.
the assessor.
At this point in time, the assessor is claiming it's residential.
Yes.
And we're gonna hear from the assessor as soon as you're done here. You'll have an opportunity to respond to the assessor. But we're gonna have the assessor explain to us how that particular plat is residential.
Okay.
All right? Okay, that's all you got? No questions from the board? All right, we'll hear from the assessor.
Okay, so there was a call there was, information that was done on March 31st, but one of our appraisers took a call from the Beatles back in the beginning of March and said that the cows on their property were from the neighboring parcel, which often roam onto the property. Thus, they should be classified as ag. They did provide a Schedule F, but as we all found out, that Schedule F has nothing to do with this particular parcel. And we have legal representation in our office have found no evidence of any farming taking place in Oklahoma County. And they said that the Schedule F not mentioning the subject parcel was an accounting error. Now, I do want to point out that sometimes what I'm going to say next can happen. The previous owners, their property, it was listed on as ag. It was a simple oversight that can sometimes happen when there are sales on properties. And that's why it was on as ag. Well, we caught the most recent sale and we thought, okay, well, we need to put this on for, residential because there is no clear evidence as of January 1st of 23 of any evidence of any farming taking place on the property. And we have
livestock.
correct, no livestock or anything of that happening. All the livestock that you see in previous pictures are from the neighboring parcel coming over to the land. Because there's, yes,
Who owns that?
the name is Wishon. Wishon,
Who owns the
W-I-S-H-O-N.
cattle?
we own some.
Well, that was never stated. And if, the thing is,
Never stated.
that they owned any cattle. That's what the given was at the very beginning of all
But there were
this.
cattle, however they dropped from heaven, they're on that piece of property.
Right, but if they can provide, and the thing is, in our office, is the real property being used for what would ordinarily be considered farming or ranching operations undertaken for profit? Well, we don't have any evidence of that. And if there is evidence of that, a profit and loss statement, we have no problem putting it on for ag. If they can provide that evidence. That is our policy for Oklahoma County.
One of the things in that definition, if it doesn't have to have, it can be fallow, nothing on it at that time. Is that a statement? In that
I read it.
definition, it says that. Also, it talks about wildlife. If I would have gone last fall and put a deer feeder and a quail feeder and tried to manage wildlife on that, it'd still be agriculture, wouldn't it?
No.
It wouldn't.
They can, I can have cows on my property and maybe call it ag, but we, in our office, we determine that in Oklahoma County, strictly just Oklahoma County,
Right.
are they using it for profit? Are these cows going to, if they're, Hereford beef cows or whatever, are they taking these cows to get slaughtered? Are they going to be making money off of the cows?
Well, let's go back to the wildlife part, because managing wildlife may not be for profit. You may lose money just because you like to see the deer out there, or the quail, or pheasant, or whatever. So if I put a deer feeder, because this property backs up to a creek, or actually the river, there's probably a lot of wildlife that cross this area. If I was to say this is ag because of wildlife management, this is just a hypothetical. There's no cattle on it, there's nothing on it at all. Would it still be agriculture if I'm managing it for wildlife?
No. Strictly in our office, it has to be for profit.
Okay, that's not what that definition says.
Where does it
That's-
say that?
No.
Okay.
Let him talk.
Anyway, we can,
According to the Attorney General's opinion, that doesn't coalesce well with that opinion.
okay, go ahead.
And like I said, if they can provide just a simple profit and loss statement, all this can be granted in their favor. But none of that wants to be presented. We've got no evidence of any kind of. We can look back and let me pull up the imagery here. So this is a recent April 23 image. We'll go back a little bit.
There you go. Stop. So you can see that actually part of the stuff we've done here. See all these big bushes and things that we cleared off to make the grass better? All through here. The cedars in there. Yeah. You can see some of the work we've done.
Looks like
Oh,
the
I'm sorry. I'm so
assessor
sorry.
finished
Dude,
All right.
That's all.
I told her not to.
No, but like I said, there is no fence right here, and we've seen evidence of, cows roaming on this property and then roaming over here based on, past imagery, and that doesn't mean that.
But they're saying that
They're both
they own these cattle. Wherever they're roaming around, I guess whoever owns that lot.
But that wasn't stated previously. But now they're saying that they do own
I
it. But
told you in the last
There's,
meeting.
Yeah.
there are cattle roaming on it now, because there's about a half a dozen to 10 on it right now.
right, but there is no fence. So if they can provide proof, but are they using it for profit? Because anyone in Oklahoma County can get some cows and put it on their property, but that could be just for their own benefit.
I would just suppose if the profit model is the one that's always used, then most of the farmland in Oklahoma is going to revert back to something besides agriculture.
Right now, I just know that each county can decide what they want to do as far as classifying what is residential, what is ag, and all that. In our office, we have determined that they need to have profit and loss statements showing, providing evidence.
Are those rules, Mike?
That is a rule of the Oklahoma County Assessor's Office. That is policy.
Policy.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you understand that the district attorney has issued an opinion that says that we are to determine, this board
Right.
is to determine whether it's agricultural or residential.
Right.
Okay.
Now, here's another thing that I do want to point out, that there's a tort, Title 76 in the Oklahoma State Constitution. Ag land is defined as any real property that is used in production of plants, fruits, wood, farm, or ranch animals to be sold off the premises. We don't have any evidence of that.
Yeah. Well, except that that's what they've said.
Right.
Listen, at this hearing, it's evidence, we're gonna take somebody's word for it, but they don't have, anything, unless you got something that shows that it's not true. We're gonna take their word for what they're saying.
No, I'm confused here on the date. The reason I keep asking them about their date of purchase. So you mean to tell me at some point, somebody could come in here in June or August and say, we want you to change what the assessor has said is the designation of our property? I mean, we are hard, fast deadlines. What are we doing here? I mean, just we gonna all of a sudden in May say what their land is? Effective for when? I'm confused.
Well, I understand what you're saying. The problem is, I didn't think we had jurisdiction of this issue to begin with, but the district attorney
Well,
disagrees with me.
Well, the district attorney can say that we have jurisdiction. The district attorney does not say you must do what they ask.
Must be what?
You must do what they ask.
Oh, no.
We
No.
get that, yeah.
Okay.
No,
Nowhere to hear the evidence and then make a
yeah.
classification
For as of when?
as of,
As of December 31st or January 1st of this year.
Okay. Okay. That's different than coming in the middle. Okay, gotcha.
which we couldn't do anyway because of the time deadlines we have.
I'm good now. I'm good.
I'm good too.
I just also wanted to point out that what is not, because like I said, it's got to be for profit, and we've decided in our policy we stated that having fish or ownership of livestock solely for one's own use, for whatever reason, that does not count as agriculture. Nothing is being proven to be shown for profit, and that's why we are calling it residential. Now they can. I know the value is not the discussion, but we can make adjustments for what they were talking about, but then that would just lower the value of the property. But we would still keep it residential.
But it is, and now here's what I cannot get past. We don't care about your taxes. That is not our deal, and that's really your deal. When you said when you said, look how much these taxes are, and you want a refund. We don't deal with taxes. But we're getting to deal with taxes by having to change the characterization that the assessor has made of the land. And I gotta square that in my head. No, seriously, because that's what this is all about.
I assumed when you said you wanted your money back, you were talking about your purchase price.
No.
No, we're talking about the taxes.
Oh, yeah, we don't have anything to do with taxes.
Understand.
Okay. One other question. Okay, so with what you just said, if I have a state ag sales tax ID, so I can purchase things tax exempt, and I go rent property, am I engaging in agriculture at that point if I put cattle on there?
Is it going to be used for profit?
I hope, but I can't guarantee that.
But we need to have actual.
Well, he doesn't mean profit as in your total cost for this cow is $600 and you unloaded the heifer for $13. That's not what that's not the way you're using the word profit, right?
Right, are the cows going to be on there eventually for?
Yeah.
Are you going to have Hereford beef or Longhorns on there
Yeah.
that's going to eventually be used to take to the slaughterhouse and sell off
He
this
said
beef?
Longhorns.
Or are they gonna have Holsteins, or they're eventually gonna sell?
Jesus walk.
Yeah. And are they gonna have Holsteins on there? Are they gonna eventually have, have milk
Eggs.
products and eggs and stuff like that? You know?
Eggs.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but you're talking about proof. Do you have any proof that the cattle are not for sale, are being raised to sell? And, the only thing I'm interested in is evidence. Do you have, you're talking about you have no evidence to say that they're actually going to sell these cattle or use them
Correct.
for
We
profit?
don't have any of that
Do you have
evidence.
any evidence to show that they're not? Because the evidence we do have now before the board is that they are.
No, wait a minute, whose burden is this? Now, we start out
Yeah,
with
we
the
didn't have
presumption,
that.
we start out with the presumption of the accuracy of the assessor until the taxpayer comes in and shows that it's incorrect. And now you're saying whatever they say, Jesus said it, and he's gotta show that it's not.
Yeah, that because.
Whose burden
we're-
is it?
We don't have, we're not talking about the value of property, which by statute, we accept the assessor's value
Okay.
unless we have evidence that overcomes it. We've been charged, according to the DA, who I disagree with, that we're to determine whether it's agricultural or residential. Not any value, nothing.
No, I know that, yeah.
What is this property as it sits right now? Is it
No,
agricultural, sit first of the year?
Why is our decision not whether they were correct in theirs, rather than saying we're the ones making it?
Because there's no statute that says that we're to take we're required to have the assessor's opinion on whether it's agriculture or residential. So really, it comes down to the burden is going to be just the preponderance of evidence.
Okay.
So, I'll wait to respond. I'll let you go ahead.
Since we have no direction otherwise,
Okay.
that's the only thing that makes sense. What's the preponderance of evidence? Is it more likely to be agriculture or more likely to be residential? That's,
And I'm just saying, yeah, whatever, there are state statutes, but there is no clear definition as to what agriculture means for ad valorem tax purposes. We have a policy that we're using in Oklahoma County, not what Kingfisher County or Logan County might say. This is strictly Oklahoma County. These are the rules and policies that we are abiding by, and that's just where we stand.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, anything else?
At this current moment, no.
Well, it's your last opportunity on this one. So if you got something else, let's hear it now.
I've got nothing else at this moment.
Okay. Any response, and not the same, not the same thing you did first, any response to what, they're saying they have a policy and all that, again, that's what they're saying, we take that as being truth unless somebody can overcome it. And we, just the same as we take what you're saying to be truth unless
And
somebody puts proof.
so
to it.
the one thing I would say, in addition to this is, typically in farming, you're required for your tax purposes to provide a Schedule F. And the Schedule F, you actually have to show whether you're trying to make a profit or not on farming. And I think that it's very clear in our Schedule F, we are very much trying to make a profit in our farming operations. People aren't doing it, I get that people would want to have land for recreation purposes and whatnot, and we even had a deer feeder out here for a bit.
Have you got the Schedule F? In any of your,
They certainly have it, yes.
But it has nothing to do with this parcel.
But it also, as I stated earlier, we have about 550 acres.
okay, don't care about the 550 acres, the only thing I care about is that piece of property right there.
I understand, but what is on that Schedule F? And so I put some farms on the Schedule F back, I don't know, it's been some years ago. And the tax people just kept carrying those through. And one thing I can for sure is I can guarantee this will be on there. But I'll guarantee that the other 500 and 30-something acres is gonna be on there too, that is there, and actually it should be my name on there, not even the farm names. So it says, in the name there, it should be our name, but not the farm names. And in that particular case, we're on a technicality of, okay, we have this one not showing, but as a Schedule F, for tax purposes, even to get the tax ID anymore, we have to show a Schedule F. It's not like the old days when I could say, okay, I'm farming and I'm not doing this. So we have to actually provide the Schedule F to show for tax purposes, to get the tax exemption on, for products we buy, fertilizers and lime and seed and whatnot on that. And we have to place those with each individual person. But anyway, that's a bit beside the point. But yes, this is part of our program. And we would like to keep it part of our program. So, moving forward. And it's not a piece of property that, inherently becomes residential just due to the very nature of the physical restrictions on the property.
I understand. Any questions from the board?
This is the northeast corner, right?
No, it's the southwest corner.
Northeast corner of the intersection.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, you threw me a curve with that.
I'm going southwest quarter.
If you need a bigger overview, here it is conjunction to US 66 and
Good.
Okay, south or north, okay.
All right, anything else from taxpayers at this point? Well, this is it. Anything else?
I just have a question. So when I called the planning commission, because I grew up in the city, so I don't understand all this. So when I called the planning commission, they said it was agriculture. Then I went back to the county assessor and told them what the planning commission told me. And they said, well, send over your Schedule F, and I did. And that's when it was changed from residential to agriculture. I still don't understand why the difference.
So city has it as agriculture, and they refuse to change it to be single-family residential or anything like
So
that.
is this an Oklahoma City jurisdiction, or I
It-
thought it's just Oklahoma County?
So I think that the city pulled it in the city limits whenever the well was there, trying to get some tax on the
Money
well.
off it, yeah.
And so it literally just covers our property.
So my question is,
I thought it
what's
was
the
probably
difference between
unincorporated
planning
Oklahoma
commission and-
County.
It is unincorporated, but it's still city limits.
Okay.
Okay.
And the planning commission would not change it to residential. So I just want to know the difference. The
County planning or city planning?
City.
Planning,
City.
City.
planning. And they have it as agriculture.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. Good presentation. And
I would
it's
like
an
to say-
unusual case for us, because like I said, I didn't even think we had jurisdiction over this. I don't see anything in the statute that says we do. But the DA seems to think it is on the basis of a attorney general case. So we have to go with that.
Understand.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'm going to close the hearing on BOE number 78, the unplatted plot. It's the northwest corner of 178th and Chapel Road. All right. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your argument.
Thank you for listening.
For
sure.
No.
Kept thinking of what judges usually say when we're doing an argument. Yeah. Once you've got it won, shut up.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. All right, anything from the board? We're gonna meet
Yes,
tomorrow
so,
for a
yeah,
decision.
yes, couple things I wanted to run by you. So yes, we do have decision day tomorrow. So today at the budget board meeting, which I believe is at 2:30, the county clerk's office is asking for a formal extension of our statutory deadline to hear through July 31st. So I will say, I think the way that this was handled in the past was not quite correct. The way that I read the statutes, on May 31st, we will actually need to technically end our regular session and then open a special session as opposed to,
Just keep going.
yes. So that's probably how we're gonna do that. So we probably will meet on the 31st, even if we don't have anything else, just for that. We did have an untimely filing, which is not out of the ordinary. However, like the situation a few weeks ago with Mr. Ahmad, they do want to kind of dispute that. I did include what they mentioned in the email here, if you want to hear them, but it was not filed by the statutory deadline.
When would we hear them?
Just probably within the next few weeks. So if you want to have them come in, but like I said, it was not statutorily filed properly, and so that's up to your discretion.
Yeah, okay. I'll have to look that over and think about it maybe tomorrow, and maybe be able to tell you anything that I feel about it anyway. All right, anything else from the board?
Is everybody in here from the assessor's office? Anybody not from the assessor? So, a couple of things. The first person here talked about, was like he was being critical of the way you all are conducting your informals. So you might need to think about that, because the chair is holding us fast on not considering information not presented at the informal, and that people are just forcing the issue anyway. I don't know that we're technically shutting them up from that. That's one thing. The other thing is, I got to get this January 1st in my mind. We're being asked, whether it's valuation or these people, to change what you've done, I guess is what we're being asked to. So it was a good job of presenting the arguments, but you guys probably, if we're starting to get a whole bunch of protests, you gotta be kind of careful about what it is and how much time you're giving these people at the informal and what you're asking them to give you. Now, if it's to your advantage not to ask them to give you anything, that's fine, because we're not gonna take it up later, but
Eleanor, I will say that whenever they send in their 974 request for an informal appeal, they are supposed to present all evidence
I
at that
see.
time.
And it says that,
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
okay.
So,
Are they
Okay.
including their evidence with that?
sometimes not.
Sometimes not.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, in that same vein, are you all presenting all your evidence at that time? Because they're saying they're not seeing these sales reports comparisons.
Do you get the, when do you
And are you all
generate that?
presenting them at that time too?
If they came face to face, they would have it, but if they're doing telephone hearings,
Sure,
then
I got you.
that's- unless somebody's emailing it to them right then.
Well, I think they do, they tell them over the phone which comparables they're using, is that
Right.
not correct?
That is correct.
We let them know what evidence we're supporting our values with.
Right.
By telling
That's not
them,
what he said.
well, I'm sorry, somebody's wrong.
Okay.
So whoever that is, then I don't know, but I know that what we do,
Okay.
we try to give all evidence that support what our decisions are
Okay.
at that time.
Sure. And to me, I'm not gonna speak for the board, those comparative reports are a critical part of decision-making. Probably from your end and our end, but
But they are aware.
they are aware.
Of the evidence that we're using.
So it's to their advantage to be there in person so they can see that.
If they have any questions, yes.
Okay, you don't send them everything you got when they do the first notice of appeal?
We try to send them everything that we're using to come up with the value, with the decision that we're making in our office.
Okay.
We try to present them with everything that we're
Yeah.
using. We don't come in the back door and push something else through.
Sure.
We try to lay it all out on the table to let them realize where we're coming from
Okay,
in our decision,
All right.
our values.
that's all I want. If you get everything that's presented at the informal hearing, we will listen to.
Right.
And even if it's verbal, if they've told you over the phone something, if you had a problem with it, that's the time to tell them, okay, well, send me a copy of it. But if it's everything that they're saying you've already covered and what you got, well, then the debate ends up here.
You got another comment?
No. Board members with the commercial appeals coming up, in commercial, we typically, they file their informal, we review their information, we make contact, and then we send them a decision letter with our supporting documentation. There's no discussion of that before that letter's sent. So the few that we've had additional information is usually rebuttals to what we've sent them, and they're sending that back when they file with the Board of Equalization, and we're trying to identify that, so we just don't hear it on the day of the appeal.
I understand that, but you send them everything.
Yes, sir.
No, they send too. And it goes in reverse.
Yeah, and if they have an issue, they'll send you whatever their supporting evidence is back, right? Or if they just wanna argue the point, then that's where it comes here.
Yes, sir.
It's new evidence is what I worry about.
Yes.
Because it can't be an appeal if it's all new evidence, or even partly new evidence, because it wasn't presented, so it's not in the appeal, at least in my judgment. I'm not speaking for the board, I'm just speaking, mainly of what I understand the law to be as a former longtime attorney general and DA myself. I think I understand the law. Sometimes we don't agree, but like in this agriculture versus residential, they say we have jurisdiction, we gotta go with the DA's opinion. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else? Any citizen? This was a citizen saying, I guess. All right.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Steve.
I was waiting for this Zillow deal to bite us at some point. Yeah, because it works both ways.